I just really want to buy books and my wallet is saying no. Hi, I'm Ann. Welcome back to my channel. So since starting my job at the bookstore, I have been working there now about 3 weeks and I've been thoroughly enjoying it. It's such a fun work environment and I just get to sit and catalog and photograph books all day. I see this as the perfect job. However, in doing that, in photographing books, in seeing different books, in just being able to be surrounded by a lot of books every single day, I have gotten this urge to buy books. However, the problem is I can't afford to buy that many books. Like, yes, I can go out and buy like a couple books or something like that, but I want like a massive Beauty and the Beast library. It's like if you are stuck on a raft in the ocean surrounded by water, but there's not a drop to drink. That is what I'm feeling right now. Being surrounded by books, but not being able to have them all. So today I'm going to be dreaming. Dreaming as in thinking about all the books that I want to buy, that I know I can't buy. But if I had all the money in the world, these are the books that I would buy. The reality of me buying books is less of I don't want to specifically own extremely fancy copies of books, extremely expensive copies of books. I do have a couple at the end that maybe break that exception, but for the most part, I like collections. I like the books that are all matchy-matchy. That's why I bought all of these. Speaking of all of these are the Paper Mill Press. They are sold currently at Book Outlet. This is where I got mine. I think they were like $7 or $8 each book, but I didn't get that many. And I wanted to buy all of them, but I couldn't. So in my fairy tale dreamlike state today, you know what I did? I went and put in the cart every single book. So these are just some of the ones I want to buy. And my total would come out to, if I bought all of these, they have a promotion that if you spend $120, you get 30% off. Did not know that. I wonder if they've always had that. But so basically my total without that, because I don't know if they always have that promotion or not, is like $450. And keep in mind, the Paper Mill Press are relatively cheap when it comes to classic books. Let's look at my second choice pick of collections, which would be, of course, the Penguin Clothbound Classics. Not only do I really enjoy predominantly Penguin Classics, I do think they're a little bit overhyped. I have a whole video about that. But for the most part, I like Penguin Classics. So having Penguin Classic editions in like very fancy cloth-bound books sounds amazing. Each one of these are between $20 and $30. I've noticed that's about the pricing they do. So each book isn't extremely expensive. It may be more expensive than I usually spend because I get thrift books, but for getting a new book, $20 is very average right now. I went to the Penguin Random House Clothbound Classics, and they had right now available 67. So let's up that to 70, say $20 per book, even though some of them are more like $30. $1,400, I believe. So yeah, that's just getting like 70 books. And you're spending over $1,000. The next ones, of course, are the special editions, the ones that are quite fancy and posh. I am thinking specifically of Easton Press books, of course, and they sell some at my bookstore, used copies that are slightly cheaper than new copies, but they're still very expensive. For example, the one that I am currently looking at is the Complete Works of Shakespeare, and it's about $460. Now, Easton Press, that is more of the high end of Easton Press. I've noticed their books go for somewhere between $50 to $150. On average, I've noticed most of them go for $84. And spending $84 on one book, I'm sorry, I can't afford that. We have collections, sets I would love to own. We also have fancy deluxe editions of particular books that I would love to own. But then there's also the third category of books I would love to own, and those are vintage, old copies, rare books that you can't really find. And those are the ones that honestly I work with most at my job at the bookstore, are the rare copies, the ones you don't find anywhere. For example, just today, I catalog a copy of Up From Slavery by Booker T. Washington, which was a first edition copy, so kind of expensive. I think we're selling it for like $200. And so there's quite a lot of copies like that are first editions, that are very old copies, that are kind of rare books that I would love to own. The first one I actually found on eBay for approximately $300, and it is Isabella Bird is one of my favorite travel writers of the 19th century. She traveled extensively throughout China, Korea, but she also Lady in the Rocky Mountains is another book she wrote, and that was her experiences living in America. So she was English, so she traveled around a whole lot. So the book that I really love by her, and I've read it on archive.org, but I would love to own a physical copy, is called Korea. And as you can see, this is just an example of one that they have on eBay. It's called Korea and Her Neighbors. I would love to own a book like that, or other travel books that are quite old, that are about Asia, or specifically Korea, because Korea is very hard to find history books for, or people's experiences, because predominantly people focus more on China and Japan. The next two are like, this is ridiculously expensive. I can't believe someone's charging for that, but you know what? It's probably worth it. And one of them is A Christmas Carol, first edition from 1843 by Charles Dickens, and it is leather bound. This thing is beautiful, as you can see. It's in great condition for being just so old. And guess how much it is? $12,500. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. For $12,500, you can own a first edition copy of The Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. But more so, you guys know how much I love Fyodor Dostoevsky. So I looked him up, and for just a little bit more than getting the one Christmas Carol, you could get the novels of Dostoevsky. This has a lot of great ones. You know, you have Crime and Punishment, you have The Idiot, you have the Brothers Karamazov, you have The Gambler. You have quite a lot. And guess how much that is? That is $14,197.31. Very exact amount. But then I got really curious. Like, what are some really expensive books? Like, obviously $14,000, $12,000 for one book seems like a lot, but I'm sure people have paid more for books. So I looked it up. And so, of course, I went down this rabbit hole, and I was like, you know what is the expensive book out there? Like, it's one thing for me to say, you know, $12,000 is a lot for a book. It's another thing for me to realize that some people have spent millions on a single book. So I went to Wikipedia, as you do when you want rather dubious information, but which is probably somewhat accurate. And I found the top 10 most expensive book sales. So we start with this Chinese classic, the Book of Tongue, around 1200s, and it sold for $18.4 million. Then right above that, you have the Magna Carta, and it sold for $27.9 million. And then you have the Gospel of Henry the Lion, and it sold in 1983 for $31.8 million. Then you have the Sherborne Missal, which is an illuminated missal, which means it has all these fancy drawings on it. It's very pretty. Sold in 2001 for $32.5 million. The next one is not even a book, it's literally a letter by Zheng Gong. It sold in 2016 for $35.8 million. Then you have the Book of Mormon, $38.7 million. Then you have another Chinese letter, $40.5 million. Now we're going to our top two. So number 2 is the United States Constitution, $45.2 million. And then finally, number 1 is the Codex Leicester? Never heard of that, but it is a notebook of Leonardo da Vinci's writings that he wrote by hand, so printed in the 1500s. It sold in 1994 for $56.3 million. So the most expensive book sold is $53 million. It makes me saying, oh yeah, a $400 book is a lot, or a $12,000 book is a lot. That is nothing compared to this. So this video has gone through the hoops and started out a mess, but you know what? I was interested. I found this interesting. So I'm curious to know, what are some books that you would love to buy if money wasn't an issue? If you had all the money in the world, what edition, what old copy, anything like that, what would you buy? What book would you buy? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, like, subscribe. I post every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!